Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zelbo, and this past week we had a bunch of releases finally with iOS 16.3.1, iOS 16.4 Beta 1, there's new changes coming to iOS 17 betas, we'll talk about iPhone 15 and maybe a new foldable phone and much more. This is your news update for the week of February 20th, 2023. Now, Apple has finally revealed how many devices are actually running iOS 16. They were a little late this year explaining how many devices are actually running it, maybe because there's less, but at this time, according to their website, and I'll link this in the description if you want to take a look at it yourself, Apple has said that 81% of all iPhones introduced in the past 4 years are running iOS 16. 15% are running iOS 15 and 4% are running earlier versions. Also, they mentioned about the iPad as well, which has lower numbers, 53% running iPadOS 16. It seems less people on iPads update as often. 39% are running iPadOS 15 and 8% are running earlier versions. Again, I'll link this in the description if you want to see the breakdown in the different graphs for yourself, and it's nice that they've finally shown this. Also, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that there was an iPhone in its original packaging for sale. So it's fully sealed, apparently. There's an iPhone with the charger and everything else included, and it finally sold for a ridiculous $63,356.40. So someone paid for this. Again, I'll link this in the description if you want to take a look at it, but it's an original sealed iPhone. I'm curious who actually purchased it and if they'll unbox it on a video or just set it in a collection somewhere. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. Now, starting with iOS 16.4 betas, Apple is actually changing how they handle installing developer and public beta profiles. They're no longer offering the profiles, and to stop the sharing of beta profiles as many websites and people have done in the past, Apple will now tie the developer and beta downloads to your Apple ID that you signed up with. So if you want to get early access to the developer beta and create apps or test software, you'll pay $99 per year. If you want the public beta, you can actually sign up for it for free still, but again, it will be tied to your Apple ID. That means you'll actually go into settings. If you have it tied to your Apple ID, go to software update, you'll see beta updates, and then you'll have an option for the developer beta or the public beta, and you can switch between that or turn it off. It makes it a little bit easier. If you're a developer, you should have been all along anyway or signed up for one of the programs, but those websites will no longer be relevant. And when iOS 17 releases, there still may be an option for IPSW file installs like there has been in the past. However, Apple may revert back to when they used to tie your device ID directly to your Apple ID using the developer portal. So we could see that same sort of thing where you'll have to actually be a developer to install this. So if you are, you're good to go. If not, well, sign up for the public beta if you don't want to pay $99 per year. You'll just have to wait either a day after the regular releases or a couple weeks when iOS 17 releases. Apple held an AI Summit or Artificial Intelligence Summit earlier this month for employees at Apple Park. This is a yearly summit on AI for employees, and this is the first time since the beginning of the pandemic that Apple has held it in person. Following Google and Microsoft's move to integrate AI into search, Apple is going to have to work on its own solution, it seems. But at this time, all they've said was machine learning is moving forward faster than ever, and that the talent Apple has is truly at the forefront. This is according to Mark Gurman. This was in his Power On newsletter. Improvements to Siri, of course, would certainly be welcome, as it seems to be falling behind these days, and hopefully improves a lot in the future if they integrate more AI. Apple also held a press event last week showing off gaming on Mac with Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, the Medium, and a few others, and Apple continues to push Apple devices as gaming devices. They invited a few different people of the press, and some were able to see that. There wasn't anything specifically new, but they just showed off gaming on different devices. So maybe they're making a push for that more in the future. Apple Maps has been updated in Germany with new cycling directions in Berlin, Hamburg, and Munich, according to the blog in Germany called Masserkopf. And as you can see here, you can have options for drive, walk, transit, cycle, and more. So if you pick cycle directions, it will give you different elevations. You'll see it here and tell you how long it would take to bike from that location to the next location, giving you all the different information. So it says main roads and bike lanes. It may require some walking, and that's based on stairs or elevation and more. So if you're seeing this in a city I didn't mention, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Now, in many of my videos, you've seen this case, and this video is sponsored by Caseku, who makes this case. This is the Caseku Magic Stand case, and it comes in 4 different colors with some clear options as well: blue, deep purple, space black, and this clear purple and clear black cases too. It's protective and adds grip and looks great. It has raised bezels around the screen and the camera, which helps protect it, but it also has a hidden stand built in. The stand allows for a 40 to 120 degree angle and has a magnet in the ring of the stand that supports MagSafe accessories and charging. I'll leave a link to them in the description, and be sure to use discount code ZOLOTECH for a little bit off. Now, if you have a T-Mobile account, you can sign up for a free subscription to MLS Season Pass this week. Starting on February 21st, the pass will be free for the 2023 season if you're on T-Mobile. You can use the T-Mobile app to sign up for the subscription that's in Apple TV. You'll see here the MLS Season Pass, so if you want to use that and see every match on Apple TV, you can do that. So just make sure you have the T-Mobile app installed, and you should be able to subscribe to that for free if you have the Rewards app. So T-Mobile, you'll see here, you may need their weekly rewards app for that as well, depending on where you live. Google is apparently paying as much as $15 billion per year to ensure that it remains the default search engine on iOS in Safari, according to a source familiar with the issue who spoke to the Register. The money is generated from ads when users use Chrome on iOS, and the U.S. Department of Justice and other similar agencies in the UK are apparently investigating the secretive deal as Apple and Google come under anti-competitive scrutiny. So that's something we're going to see more and more of. Maybe the government investigating Apple and maybe even trying to break them up a little bit as they're looking into Google and Apple and different business practices. So apparently Apple's making a lot of money off of Google now as well. Now, if you use WhatsApp, there was an update this week for picture-in-picture. So if you're using a video call, you can now swipe out of that video call while you're on it, and it will go into picture-in-picture mode. Just make sure you're on the most recent version, and it should work automatically, similar to what we have on FaceTime. So it's great if you're using that. It's now available. Now, weekly deals, I did want to mention a couple, as there's some significant ones for AirPods Pro 2. It seems like they're on perpetual discount. However, they're down to $199 on Amazon, sold directly from Apple. So I'll leave a link in the description for that. That seems to be a great deal. I don't know that they've been cheaper than that since maybe before the Christmas holiday season. So that's quite a good deal. And if you want that, I'll leave a link in the description. Also, Apple Watch is down $50 as well, and there's also discounts on iPad Air and more. I'll leave all those other discounts so you can check them out. Now, last week we had numerous updates with iOS 16.3 and 16.4, and we also received 16.4 Beta 1 for the Apple Studio display. However, Apple didn't say what was actually available within that update. iOS 16.4 Beta 2 will probably be next week. Typically every other week is what Apple does for the first few betas, so they'll skip a week, then come out the next week, so that seems to be more likely. So far, there's no additional news about maybe incremental updates such as iOS 16.3.2, so we'll have to wait for that. There doesn't seem to be that in the works yet, but we could see that before the final release of iOS 16.4, which is expected maybe in March or early April. So something like that, we don't know 100%. This is the first time in a long time we haven't heard any leaks or early rumors about the next version of iOS. So iOS 17, though, this time is seemingly maybe more of a stability update, as Apple apparently is focusing more and more on Reality OS for its headset. This is according to Mark Gurman, where he's not really hearing anything, it seems, based off his Power On newsletter. So typically we would have leaks by now, but the first version we should see will be in June at WWDC, or the Worldwide Developer Conference. Usually the first week of June, Apple invites developers and some media people to come take a look at the first version of that. We should expect to see something there. Maybe they'll focus on stability. Maybe it'll just have very minor updates. And I think a lot of people would welcome that, maybe some small features. But let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. I would welcome a stability update, and of course we'll be able to install that as a developer typically the day they announce it, and then usually a couple weeks later as a beta tester. Again, it will probably use that new system though, so you'll need to sign up as a developer and pay $99 per year, or sign up for free as a beta tester. Now, Apple is apparently working to finally bring reverse wireless charging to iPhone. This was again found in patents where you could put it on the back of your phone, similar to other phones out there, and it would just reverse wireless charge your AirPods, possibly another iPhone if you needed to. So that's something we haven't seen. It's been rumored for a long time on iPhones, and we've just never seen it. Apparently, it's fully capable. They just haven't enabled it. So maybe they'll bring that fairly soon, maybe with a larger battery in the next version. Now, with iPhone 15, a recent image leaked on Twitter showing what appears to be a USB-C port on the bottom of an iPhone 15 Pro frame. It looks to be, this could be titanium, although it could just be an aluminum or aluminium frame that hasn't been sort of anodized yet or anything. So we definitely should see USB-C based on Apple having to comply with different laws around the world. Also, the frame of the iPhone 15 Pro model are expected to have much thinner bezels, similar to Apple Watch, according to Shrimp Apple Pro on Twitter. So we would have less bezels, more screen. That's always welcome, of course, but it's said to have much shorter bezels or smaller bezels that sort of roll into the metal frame, or maybe the frame rolls into the screen, as it's said to be still a flat display instead of having curved edges. And you can see what it would look like based off of these renders from 9to5 Mac that partnered with Ian Zelbo. So you can see what that looks like. It seems very familiar, sort of a mix between the iPhone 13, 14, or iPhone 12 to 14 models, and maybe the iPhone 11. It's sort of a mixture of both of those. Now, Apple continues to investigate the possibility of a folding phone. We've seen that from Samsung mostly, where we have a folding phone. Some people really like it, some don't, and a new patent that was recently discovered shows a foldable hinge design with gears that is somewhat reminiscent of Samsung's foldable device hinges. So the hinges inside here typically have some sort of gearing. Ross Young believes we'll see the first foldables if Apple decides to move forward with this in 2025. Now, Apple's AR/VR headset, I mentioned a little bit that they're working on the software, but Apple's Reality Pro headset was supposedly going to be shown in April, but has been pushed back to be introduced at WWDC 2023 in June. This is due to continued issues with hand and eye controls, according to Mark Gurman, who apparently has heard more information about it. The price is still expected to be around $3,000 though. So this is not for everyone. It would be sort of an introductory device. People could see it at WWDC, developers could get ready to develop for it, and then maybe they'll release it later in the year for everyone to buy. I'm not sure what I think about it. It'll have to be a pretty big departure from what Oculus has to be able to be worth $3,000 though. Now, we do have OLED iPads still in the works. We're waiting for those, probably 2024 at this point. We do have mini LED. I thought Apple would just work toward micro LED, as there's some advantages to color accuracy over time, but we could see OLED panels instead, not only in iPads, but also Macs as well. And speaking of Macs, a 15-inch MacBook Air is set to debut in the second quarter of 2023. It's said to have an M2 chip, and Ross Young has also said that Apple started production this past week on a 15-inch display for a device expected in early April. So we could see a 15-inch MacBook Air. I absolutely love this MacBook Air. Love the midnight color, but it's definitely a fingerprint magnet and hard to keep clean, but it's something I really, really like. I carry it with me everywhere. You can see this is just from taking it in and out of a bag. Even wiping this down, it's hard to keep clean. So maybe they'll find a better solution to that sort of finish. But this is a great device. Fully edits 4K video, is plenty fast, and is something I would welcome in a much larger size. Now, there are also recent rumors of a 12-inch MacBook coming soon, but there's mixed information as to whether Apple will actually release it. If so, Mark Gurman has said in the past to expect it later in 2023, but then later changed this, saying that Apple has no near-term plans on releasing it. So maybe it was an idea and they scrapped it altogether, decided to keep what they have now, release a 15-inch MacBook Air, and keep the current lineup. Let me know if you'd like a 12-inch MacBook in the comments below. And so that's everything as far as the news this past week. Quite a few things. We're waiting for different updates, and hopefully it will be an exciting year for iOS 17, or at least a stability year. Again, let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.